So today we're going to be covering the mahadasha of Rahu. What happens when you go through a Rahu mahadasha, or if you have been through mahadasha, you can check how it went depending upon what I'll tell you. And if you don't know what dashas are, please go to my playlist in my channel and check out my dasha playlist where it says what is dasha. These things are far more important than early transits. They are the true secrets of astrology. So, this is how you make predictions when you look at dashas. So Rahu dasha, which is north node of the moon, is a 18-year long time period in your life, and depending upon how it's situated in your horoscope, it gives good or bad results. And as I told you before, what is Rahu? Rahu is obsession. Rahu is that person who's willing to do anything to achieve its goal. Rahu has worldly desires. It's very materialistic. So that means it wants those things that are hard to achieve. So what it does, sometimes it takes shortcuts in life to go and achieve those things. This is why everybody has a Rahu somewhere in their horoscope where they're so obsessed about that if they were to get an opportunity, they would do something malefic to achieve those things. Not to say that planets are malicious. It's just it gives you those tendencies. It gives you those temptations to, let's say if you found $1,000 in front of a police station, it's not inside, it's outside, but it's during the night, and you pick it up and you're like, hey, it's mine, I can take it, while the camera looks at it and say, oh, you just picked up $1,000 that this police chief dropped, and next thing you know, they're coming after you and they're taking you to jail. So these are the things that Rahu kind of makes you do. So let's see what Rahu Mahadasha is like in a good or bad sense. So Rahu gives very good results in terms of money, wealth, fame, including education, even marriage. Rahu also is responsible for marriage as well. It brings sudden marriage. Like you meet somebody last month, and this month you're already getting engaged, and in the next month you're going to be getting married. So Rahu brings these sudden positive events as well. But the way it brings positive events in your life is when it's sitting alone in your horoscope, is when it's not in conjunction with any other planet. The only time it gives very good results when it's sitting with a planet is when it's sitting with Mercury. When Rahu is sitting with Mercury, it tends to make a person extremely intelligent, extremely clever, extremely business oriented, because Rahu not only infuses this quality into the clever Mercury, but it transforms itself into Mercury as well. So it becomes a mirror image of Mercury. And so when these two are together, they really make one of those very clever businessmen who are always just know how to make money. They make good salesmen. So Rahu, whenever it's sitting alone, especially let's say in the 2nd, 3rd, 6th, 10th, and 11th house, it gives very good results concerning those things, because second house is a house of, wealth, accumulated wealth, and third house is a house of courage. Third is a house of, it's about performance, whether hand skills performance or performance as in media. It does very well there. Sixth house is one of these upachya houses that grows with time, so it gives victory over enemies. Rahu is clever enough to find, any way to win over his enemies and get success. 10th house Rahu obviously does very well because that is the house of career. That is a house of achieving things. So Rahu does very well when it has that machine with it to achieve whatever it wants. 11th house is a house of gains. Rahu does extremely well there because it wants that extravagant gain so he can get those bling bling watches, the diamond necklace, that Ferrari. Does very well there. Okay. And Rahu especially does well in earth signs. So when Rahu is in Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, it does very well because Rahu's desires are stable, because earth sign describes stability. So Rahu does very well when it's stable, when its energy is stable and it's not all over that place and just wanting things now. It wants it, but in earth signs, it wants it in a very dignified way. It's not as malicious as, we might think. Rahu Dasha performs well when Rahu is alone in the air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. That's when it does very well for the person, because Rahu also loves communication. It loves mass communication. So an air sign in this Dasha, it can make you a very good public speaker. It can really make you a good salesman, because salesmanship is about speaking, selling whatever you want to sell. It makes a person studious, because air sign represents intelligence as well. So it makes a person very good in their Dasha if they're trying to accomplish a certain goal while they're, in their academic field. Rahu can also take you, in a line of computer. So let's say if you don't have any interest in computers, when Rahu Dasha comes, you will suddenly be inclined towards learning about computers, towards, learning, having the skills to be good at computers, because that's what Rahu represents too. And remember, Rahu can also do very well in the houses 4th, 5th, and 7th house, as long as it's not in conjunction with a planet, and as long as it's in one of those earth signs or, earth or air signs. Rahu is kind of neutral in the fire signs. It doesn't like to be in the fiery nature, because its energies, becomes very hot. He becomes more aggressive to achieve those things. In the water signs, Rahu doesn't do well, like Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, especially Scorpio. In Scorpio, Rahu is thought to be debilitated because his energy is concentrated on the deep emotions of a person. It has to emotionally think about things than logically thinking. And Rahu loves to think logically, because it wants to be a master of material world. In order to be a master of something, you cannot think with your emotions. That's why, when you go into the stock market, when you go in any kind of business, they say do not make emotional decisions. Make logical, rational decisions. And so this is why when Rahu is in the water energy and you go through that dasha, your emotions are always going to be, juggling around. You're going to be undecisive about making decisions. You're going to be, should I make this decision or that decision? I'm so confused. And most of the time people end up making wrong decisions because, that's where Rahu just doesn't make the good decisions. But if it's an earth sign and you go through a Rahu dasha, then it kind of like, okay, this is my path and I'll follow that. I'm obsessive about this path, and let me see what I need to do to get to that path. And even if it's in conjunction in the earth signs, it can produce neutral to okay results. But just remember, you really want to have Rahu alone in its dasha. Now in the dasha of Rahu, you can also do a long distance journey, either permanent or temporary, especially overseas, because Rahu represents long distance as well. So if your Rahu is in the 2nd house, 7th house, 9th house, 12th house, even 8th house, you can either move out of country on a temporary basis or permanent basis, especially if it's in the 12th house. So what happens if, Rahu is, let's say, badly placed in your horoscope? It's sitting in the 8th house or 12th house with some Rajasic or Tamasic planet, meaning benefic or malefic planet. Planets like Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, Moon, Sun, Venus, things like that. It can, let's say if it's in the 7th house, it's conjunct your Venus, or just sitting in the 7th house, but in a bad dignity. It can cause a divorce, separation from the spouse. It can land people in jail, especially in the 12th house. 12th house represents hospital and jails. So it can land people into with an illness. It can land them into, hospital. They can be charged with some allegation, and they have to go to jail. People become isolated in this time period, meaning that they go to foreign lands, but they go alone. And those are the people that go alone mostly who are very connected with their family and friends, and they feel alone and isolated. So that's what Rahu does. Rahu can, bring injuries and, car accidents, if it's in a certain house, especially when it's in conjunction with Mars, like that's in the 8th house, but that too happens with certain degrees and being in a certain nakshatra, but pretty much the energy of Rahu really becomes malefic when it comes in contact with a positive planet. like Venus, Moon, Jupiter, even Sun is considered, it is a positive planet. So these are the things that Rahu can do. Rahu can now get you sued. If it's in the 7th or 6th house and it's badly placed, you're going to have to go to a lot of court cases. You're going to be going, let's say you go through a divorce, you're going through a heck of a lot more, court dates than you would normally go to in a procedure. You might get sued, you might get into some sort of litigation. So, you got to be careful of those things as well. So guys, this was my analysis on Rahu Dasha. If you're new to my channel, subscribe above, because I'm going to be bringing you all of this inside information of the astrological world, the real astrological world. And if you want to know more about this stuff, check out my link below, my website, Astrology at the Speed of Light book, my articles. Everything will give you a lot of information about Vedic astrology. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.